everyone. Welcome to Served. We survived to get to another week of talking nonsense on this show. Happy to be here, to be back. I had a week. I was barely here at home. LA to New York. Saw producer Mike, saw JW for like 2 high fives. As we were all working. Little update. So we did have on some previous episodes, we auctioned off the opportunity to hit an Arthur Ashe Stadium to some listeners. It all worked out. A donation was made. Fun was had. We were at Arthur Ashe Stadium. Anytime Mike goes there, he ends up either in the first row or on the court. Slightly offensive. I do want to like one of the cooler moments of our couple of days. So what happens is the USTA is generous enough to let me kind of take over Arthur Ashe Stadium. There's no one else in the building. We can auction off those experiences to fundraise, mostly for the Andy Roddick Foundation, but we trade auction items sometimes. So one of the auction winners who I hit with this weekend was at an event for Leon Bridges, and Leon Bridges came and played our event. And so we trade in kind, and the world goes round, and it's kind of like a circular give. But we also had a special guest that is one of producer Mike's now. I mean, should we say like close friends now?
I mean, we're pretty close.
You're pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He calls me Mike. No producer on the front end.
Oh.
Yeah.
He doesn't know your formal name.
No.
Anyway, so I'm hitting, and we have some other friends, maybe some fun news, big news coming for our little podcast, but not today. But these guys are busy businessing, and I'm out on the court. I played 9 hours one day. The next day, not quite as much, but I'm kind of over there hitting. And our special guest, our friend, your friend, that you were so nice to host at Arthur Ashe Stadium, is none other than Lin-Manuel Miranda, which is like a star amongst stars. You want to see adults turn into like a 12-year-old at like a Justin Bieber concert? Or I guess now it wouldn't be him. It would be like a Sabrina Carpenter concert. People freak out for this guy, and rightfully so. Nicest guy ever. But what struck me in this conversation here, why don't you take over the story, Mike? You know better. You were right there.
We were over on the side. John and I were over on the side speaking with some folks, and Lynn walks over to John. Blows right by me, blows right by everyone, and goes straight up to Mr. Jon Wertheim and says, "I'm a huge fan of yours." Yeah. And John responds. He goes, "I love your writing." He goes, "I love your writing" to John. And John responds, "Yours isn't so bad either."
Your creative output is
you're not so bad yourself, Lynn.
Well, you guys didn't tell me he was like. It took me 2 seconds to like synapse his file. I didn't even know who. Nice guy and all. He came and then oh shit, I know who that is. Not a lot of warning there. I would have had my like Hamilton lines ready, and my daughter's like, "Why didn't you get a photo?"
But he is a huge fan of yours,
lovely
John.
guy.
He came over. He was fanboying over Jon Wertheim.
Super fanboying.
Weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life.
It was pretty cool.
I've seen a 3-legged turkey. And
John's a big deal, man.
I know.
You guys sound so surprised.
I forget. You weren't surprised?
No. Well, you know what's funny? Wait. Do we tell him? He had a little tip too.
Yeah.
He said, "Should I say what it was?"
Yeah.
I don't think I'm violating any confidences. His wife was present as well. She was lovely. So was his nephew. But his wife's maiden name is Nadal.
Yeah.
So he encouraged us to, in your next column on your next podcast, why don't you guys have a trivia question? Who was the last Nadal to play on the big court at Arthur Ashe?
I told you.
Not Rafa.
Yeah. So he brought some family members, some other Nadals that we hit with, and I said, "This is great," because forever I thought Roddick versus Nadal on Arthur Ashe Stadium was going to end in a 1-1 tie. One was very skewed one way. The next time it was just as skewed the other way. Didn't end well for me, but I know Rafa's spending the moments before his impending retirement definitely listening to Served. I hate to break it to him, but Roddick 2, Nadal 1 now at US Open. So, not everything super rosy. Anyways, we had a great time. It was fantastic. More news soon, hopefully about the podcast. But it's just been a blast. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to try to do a little something different. Okay. So producer Mike, I've been busy, guys. I don't
busy
know.
Guy.
I don't know how else to say it. Like I couldn't come in here and prep for an hour before the show.
Why couldn't you? What were you doing?
Because like
Because you're Hollywood now?
Because I was doing a table read. Like I was doing a table read, John. That's like what us actors do when you're prepping for a motion picture and the cast sits around, super famous people. We all just sit around and read funny lines.
Just yucking
And
up.
I just didn't have time, guys. I didn't have time to prep for the show. So Mike, you're going to have to read a headline. I'm sorry. In demand. I don't know what to tell you.
How do you feel about your lines? Do you feel pretty good?
Yeah.
Flawless.
It was the difference between, like, in all seriousness now, obviously that wasn't serious. In all seriousness now, like the people sitting around actually like using voice inflection and then me going, baba dooba doop. It's a massive difference. Like they know what they're doing. And I hear my wife do it and she reads it and then you read it. I'm like, doot, 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 and it's so bad. I'm the worst.
You'll get there.
So table reads have now gone on Zoom as well. You got like Olipop behind you when you're doing table reads?
No,
now?
I didn't do it from here because the guys were in here setting up our show. So I went literally from that to this. So I did it in the office, in the house. But yeah, fuck, why not? We can get Olipop in there sometime. No problem.
Let's do it.
I'm sure Stiller and Ed Harris would love it. It'd be great. It'd be fantastic. Anyway, so that's why. Anyways, today we'll see how it goes. I mean, don't screw this up royally. Don't
judge us.
Don't make it like the worst thing ever, Mike. When you read these, don't be terrible.
It's going to be short and sweet.
I know, but just don't suck. It's,
okay,
it's what.
Drum roll?
It's like what they were talking about.
Please.
No, you don't need drum roll. Just fucking read them.
Do it. Fuck it. Sorry. God. All right. So news from the weekend, week before. Here we go.
Yep.
First, Sabalenka is now WTA world number 1, ending Iga's 11th month hold on the top ranking. However, it's not all she wrote to Iga. She has an opportunity to recapture the top spot at the upcoming WTA finals next month. That was good. That's a good one.
What are we playing? Clue?
Yeah.
It was Sabalenka on the court with a racket. Like, what are you doing?
This sounds like, we have like news radio when they're like, in other matches, Sheng Shalkin was a victor at the Wimbledon Championships.
Okay, let's listen. It's his first time leading off the top.
That was a good
so let's
one.
just try this. Do it again, except just try it. Except don't suck.
All right.
It's like a table read.
Yeah, table read guy.
Table read it, dude.
You need me to redo that one? No, come on.
Yeah, I think you do. It was.
All right, Sabalenka is now the WTA world number 1.
I think you should apologize to the listeners first.
Sorry, guys.
All right, go.
Ending Iga's 11-month hold on top ranking. However, it's not all she wrote for Iga. She has an opportunity to recapture the top spot of the upcoming WTA finals next month.
All right, great stuff, Mike. Way to go. That's great. I feel like I don't know. Like if I was JW, I'd be worried about his 60 Minutes gig.
I mean, definitely. I'm definitely coming for his gig.
Okay, so
this is NVIDIA does tennis.
The actual content, like the actual content. Listen, props to Sabalenka. Iga actually won the number 1 ranking from her at World Tour Finals next year. We often treat it as if Iga has been number 1, and she has been for the large part of it, but she had to win 2 matches on the trot to keep the number 1 ranking at the end of last year. It feels like we're on the same track. One of the things I do want to point out in this whole scenario with Swiatek and Sabalenka and how lucky we are to actually have the same 2 players fighting for the top spot. Again, it's a great rivalry. Both work hard, both deservedly so. And also, I'm not mad at Iga because she actually is one of the few players who talked about being a little burnt out, obviously split with a coach, but then is still taking the time, right? I like that she's gotten to the point in her career where she's taking the long view on this. She's not in a rush to get it back. It's obviously not a priority for her. She's done it before, so that helps, right? But I like that Iga is, one, props to Sabalenka for winning all of it and just her year in general. I think she's player of the year regardless of how the rankings shake out. And also, I like this progression from Iga where she says something, she prioritizes it, and then it doesn't matter what someone else is doing. She's kind of sticking to her game plan, obviously has to run through the new dynamic with Wim Fissette, new coach. I like that she has a new coach in play, before the end of the year finishes, as opposed to like just getting a training block and starting out of the gates with Australia. How much of this is a big story and how much of it is kind of good for everybody involved, JW?
So the player with 2 majors is now ranked higher than the player with 1 major. No, I think you're right. And I think that, I think Iga's gotten to be a very complicated player. We're far and away, I mean, no question. We're like, Rafa's a joke, but we're like Chrissy on clay level greatness here. On the other surface, especially at the big events, she's had some trouble. She projects a certain nervousness. We've talked before, and I think she's fairly open about this. I mean, she's not necessarily comfortable in all that goes with being a tennis player other than hitting tennis balls. I mean, she's not someone who wears the cloak of celebrity with great comfort. There's a lot to work through. I think her camp is fairly complicated. This is not a coaching situation where you just come in. Remember, she has a full-time sports psychologist who she's close to and who is there's a real dynamic there. So I think it makes sense that this camp kind of gets the org chart and sort of figures things out before heading into 2025. But no, I mean, Iga won her major. She's a great player. I think you're right. Rivalries are healthy. If the number 1 ranking gets batted back and forth like a baseline rally, good for tennis. But I also think, like what you said, Sabalenka's your MVP. I mean, if she puts her racket down tomorrow on October 20, whatever, she's still the MVP. So I think everybody wins. The best player finishes number 1, or at least is ranked number 1 today. And Iga's got some time to regroup, and hopefully this rivalry lives on and thrives in 2025.
Yeah, it's a good point on the new coach coming in. I think it's maybe, I don't know about tougher, because the player you're dealing with is currently number 1 and has been the best player in tennis for the last 4 years at scale. But going into a very established team that has had a lot of success, right? Has seen the top of the mountain, wedging yourself in there. Do you want to make a bunch of changes? Are you trying things out for the rest of the year? These are all these big macro questions. Is the fit, have they already signed a deal for 2 years? Is this a thing that they're going to try through the rest? There's a lot of this stuff that we don't totally know yet. But simply, Iga talks about being burnt out. A lot of people talk about how the tennis season's too long, and then they add 17 exos in the week before some other event, right? Which is their prerogative. I'm never going to beat someone up for, managing or mismanaging a schedule. We're adults. It's their prerogative. I can tell you it probably wasn't beneficial, or maybe it was, but it is nice when someone says, hey, here's this big issue that we all talk about, and you know what? I can pull back at this stage in my career, and I don't have to do it. I like the fact that there seems to be a focus, whether it's coaching, whether it's taking a break when you have to. I like that the long view seems to be the guiding factor for Swiatek right now. And Sabalenka, everything you said, times a million, has been phenomenal this year and the last couple of years in general. All right, Mike, try not to suck on this next one.
All right, Tommy Paul wins his 2nd Stockholm title over the weekend. Paul's win pushes him into the 10th spot in the PIF ATP rankings, with only a few weeks left to capture a top 8 spot in the ATP finals, possibly putting him in with fellow American Taylor Fritz, which could be great. Have 2 Americans over in the ATP finals with only 8 players, right?
Yep. One of the things with Tommy Paul that we've said a lot on this podcast is just the growth. Over the last 3 years, it's like very clear, measurable improvements each year. Right? Started having some good results. Great. Would be flashy one time and then go away for a month, and he's improved on that. And now he's there pretty much every week. Like, maybe the results don't always go perfectly every week. The other thing about talking about being 10th in the rankings and the race to Turin, Novak has said he's not playing Turin. He said he has no interest in playing Turin. Now, he can always change his mind, but simply, I'm not great at math, but if someone ahead of you is not playing, then that means you're in 9th. That means he's in 1 spot. And
he's not playing Paris. I don't know if you saw that too. So
Novak?
Big Novak.
Yeah, so that makes sense. I mean, listen, Novak has said in so many words, and we don't want this to get take the focus away from Tommy Paul, but Novak is going to pick and choose his spots now. He's going to try to, juggle the schedule where he gets enough matches before majors, but really, my interpretation of the way Novak is talking is that he doesn't care about rankings anymore. He knows what he's been. Can't take away the number one ranking forever. Has had it for more weeks than anyone. This is how the next phase of his career is going to go, where he picks and chooses his spots, doesn't care about Paris, isn't going to play Turin. The only reason we bring that up is because the story was led with Tommy Paul. Great win in Stockholm. Stan Wawrinka actually played pretty well there, which was fun to see as well. But 10th, deceiving. That's actually 9th, if we can take Novak at his word that he's not playing Turin.
And no, I'm glad, some players, the U.S. Open 4th major gets done in the middle of September. Well, that's kind of weird because there's still a lot of tennis on the calendar. Some players kind of treat these last 3 months with like, something like, the shrug emoji. You're sort of, Tommy Paul, I think it says something about your durability. I think it says something about your professionalism. When you were crossing oceans and winning indoor tournaments in the middle of October, I think that sets a sign. And again, in our theme of, one of our themes of 2024 is how professional Tommy Paul has become. And this is another data point in support of that theme. Good for him.
Yep, definitely. All right. Mike, you're getting better.
Yeah, we're on. Well, let's see if I can stay at this level. Friend of the pod, Danielle Collins, calls it quits on calling it quits. You guys like that one?
Ooh. Jesus. We would have liked it more if you didn't reference your own joke like a loser. All the best jokes need to be explained, Producer Mike.
Announcing on her social media over the weekend, quote, "The Danimal story has not reached its conclusion. I will be back on tour in 2025.
Listen, I don't know how to respond to this because I think there are a lot of factors that have nothing to do with tennis, right? Is it time to start a family? Is it not? Can't comment on any of that. So I'm going to put myself in a very small box and say, purely from a tennis fan perspective, I'm happy we're going to get to see more of her, right? I'm happy. This was arguably the best year of her career, certainly for 6 weeks, maybe 2 months of the season. It was hard to argue against her being the best player on tour for that stretch. From Miami through Charleston, even into Rome, where she made the semis without breaking a ton of sweat. I mean, she just looked like she had it for a while. Anyway, so listen, she didn't have to explain the reasons in her post. She did. I'm happy that we're going to get to see her for another year, and hopefully momentum can build. And also, I hope that everything else that's way more important than tennis works out the way that she eventually wants it to. And love the Danimal. Love that when you're referencing your own story, you say the Danimal story is not done. That is a move.
That's legendary.
That's a move. What did I miss, JW?
No, nothing. And I think you're right. I think you see that headline, you say, oh, great, Danielle Collins has reconsidered and she's back. And then you read about and this is a gynecological condition in keeping with her MO and with her organizing principles. She was very upfront and candid talking about this two years ago. And yeah, clearly that has reared its head again. So this is a bit bittersweet, and you hope she's, her health takes precedence over everything. And, it's a strange situation where we're all, as tennis fans, you're happy to see her back, but, not necessarily under these circumstances. And not sure what is there to say other than we wish her the best, and if this is per choice, great, we support her, but you wish it didn't have this health component to go with it.
Yeah, I think simply we're going to be cheering for her when she's playing next year, and we're always cheering for her away from the court. Danimal story, at least on court for now, it continues, and we'll see. What else we got, Mike?
We got more return to tour news. Nick Kyrgios says he will play in 2025, focusing on a return for the Australian Open. Speaking recently, Kyrgios said, "I just want to be out there, lighting up the crowd and playing in front of my own country."
Cool. What else we got, Mike?
Sinner tops Alcaraz at the Six Kings Slam to earn a $6 million prize. Each of the 6 players guaranteed $1.5 million just to participate. Fun fact, that $6 million is nearly half of Sinner's entire court earnings year to date.
Jeez, is this new? Have the Saudis have they been overpaying for athletes?
I was going to say, it's almost like they have discretionary funds to spend on sports that are out of whack with the market.
Weird.
I don't know where to start on this one. This is also, never mind the prize money. This is basically, Sinner just got double for playing 3 days, 6 sets of exhibition tennis on the other side of the world. He got twice as much for that as he did for winning 21 sets in the U.S. Open. I'm happy anytime players are, as a rule of thumb, the more talent benefits, the better. But this the other thing too, just doing the back of the envelope math, are we now? Am I wrong on this, or is more money being spent on this 3-day silly exhibition than is being spent on the women's flagship year-end event?
Ooh.
Wow.
Ooh, that was 60-minute shit right there.
How do we feel about these 6? How do we feel about 6 Kings?
It definitely doesn't make me sick to my stomach that he made more than 25% of my career prize money in 3 days of exhibition tennis. That's great. No, in all seriousness, I never begrudge anyone their choices. Listen, someone's going to pay you that amount of money, and you have to go do awkward dancing, and the whole thing looked completely like unnatural. Like it just looked weird. I had no interest in it. Even the Novak and Rafa of things, I don't know. It didn't feel. It felt fine. It felt like an exhibition, but without like the charm of a Laver Cup where you're seeing the interactions between players and the legends get brought back. And, for better or worse, we're going to see more of these types of things, these exos, outsized budgets. It's easier to pay Sinner, $6 million when you're not responsible for 122 other players, at a given event, plus doubles, plus, X, Y, and Z. It's one court. It's not a million courts. There's no expenses. And it's a marketing budget for a government. So, it great. I think it's great for them. Fantastic. Take your money. I'm not going to, I don't think we're going to get our high horse. The women are going there. Your question is like endlessly interesting to me, John. I don't know the answer for it. Maybe you do. But did they spend more on this than they will on WTA Tour finals? And is that because the WTA Tour has to regulate how much prize money is? I don't know any of those questions. If only we knew a journalist, producer Mike.
Yeah. You just said something quick. I want to dwell on something you said, because I think it's a really good point. Even the awkward dancing, right? What that said to me is this is part of something bigger. This is a branding exercise for a country. And opinions are all over the place on sports washing and taking money and building bridges versus having a bit more of a moral stance. I mean, that's fine. But what I think people need to pause a bit on is, people say, oh, well, the U.S. isn't perfect either. And what about Iraq? It's not a national exercise, right? I mean, say what you will about pick your event on the calendar, right? I mean, say what you will about the U.S. Open. Players are not there as guests of the government. They are not singing the Star Spangled Banner. I mean, it's a tennis tournament, right? It's not a national exercise. The funding isn't coming from the federal government. The one thing about this, you really have a sense that this is not so much about sports and selling sponsorships and tickets. This is really about a branding exercise for a country. And look, I mean, again, if we've said this before, if sports are a way to westernize and modernize and become more progressive, let's give that a chance. But I do think we need to differentiate between, hey, no country is perfect, and the fact that this sporting event in particular, and a lot of them, are clearly government exercises in a way that, say whatever you will about, I'm thinking, you can play the Rome event in May. It's not like the Italian government is the driving force behind it. So, I don't know. I mean, you don't,
and frankly speaking, at Rome, at the Grand Slams, you don't get a fee for service. You get a fee for winning, right? We talked about Daniil Medvedev, and he's the best because he's always the first one to say it, so you can't say anything else. But, you had 1.5 to show and was off the court in an hour. I did it in Abu Dhabi, not for that number, but a long time ago, I got beaten 46 minutes first round, not because I didn't try, just because I wasn't really that good, and it was the first match of the year. I went to the tournament organizer and said, hey, I'll play another match for free. And they're like, no, we're good. We've gotten what we need out of you. And it was the press, it was the showing up, it was the pictures. It was very little to do with the actual product on court that given week. That is a very big differentiating factor from the rest of the tennis that we like, that has consequence. past, am I, 3 million rich or am I 6 million rich? That's the consequence for this week, which for them, it matters, but it's not the type of consequence that I really care about watching. That doesn't get me going as a fan, as someone who breaks down the tennis. I thought the tennis was all very secondary to the pageantry, and that's probably intentional. That's by design. So, good for them. Sinner, you must just be eating all of the finest meats and cheeses now. 6 million. It's a good couple days work. Good couple days work. What else you got, Mike?
That's it. It's the end of our headlines.
That's it?
Yeah, you have a busy schedule. You got stuff coming up.
I'm a table reader.
Big Hollywood star.
On the other side of the break, we've been joking this entire episode. We're going to stop joking because something very serious has happened to a lot of people. The Hurricanes first through North Carolina and a couple in Florida. Friend of tennis, Gigi Fernández, has lost pretty much everything in that. And she is not coming on to inform us that she is having issues. She's coming on to say, hey, this is what happened to me. And this is what I think we can all do to help people who aren't as fortunate and lucky as I am. I don't need to file an insurance claim to get furniture, which is something she mentioned, which is a great way to put it. Gigi Fernández will be on the other side. Thank you for listening to Served. All right, everyone, welcome back to Served. We have a friend of mine, 17-time Grand Slam doubles champion, Gigi Fernández. And normally, if we would have Gigi on, it would be a cause for celebration and happiness and all of those other things. But we all know the devastation that the Hurricanes have caused, first North Carolina and twice in Florida. Gigi was or is one of the unfortunate people who had severe damage to her home. Sent me an email, it's probably 4 or 5 days ago, just saying, hey, we're going to try to do some good stuff with the recovery and people who need it. Can I come on and talk about it? And I said, absolutely. So let's please welcome in Gigi Fernández. I don't know how to ask this, but how are you? I know that you pretty much lost your house, but we're all pulling for you. What's the latest and what's the update?
Thank you, Andy. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's still good days and bad days. We flooded with Helen and we're not able to save anything because it came really suddenly and unexpected. So lost both cars and pretty much anything that touched the ground of a 1-story house. So pretty much everything we own, just about. Then we had to deal with Milton right on the heels of that. So at that point, we try to save whatever else was left in the house. So I have all my belongings in like a 5x8 pod and a 5x8 container. That's pretty much everything that we saved. And through all this like devastation, I have a lot of fans that follow me, and a lot of offers to help. People wanting to send me money or send me whatever help they could give me. And I don't need that kind of help. I'm very lucky. I'm one of the lucky people in this devastation that I can, have a house to stay. I can afford to, start buying furniture and not wait for the insurance to clear. I can afford to go buy 2 cars to replace the 2 cars that were totaled before the insurance checks come in. But there's so many people that needed help. And I was talking to Lindsay Davenport, who didn't lose her house, but also had a very tragic or traumatic experience during the second hurricane where she lost contact with her husband for a while. And she, as you can imagine, was panicked about that. So we decided that we wanted to do something to help. And when I was at the US Open a month ago, I woke up one morning and I said, I need to re-up my charity. I need to do more to give back to tennis. And this name, Tennis for Hope, came to me in September, and didn't know why that name came to me. And now here, one month later, and people do it. People ever need hope. And so what I decided to do was take, all the people who want to give me money is take their money, but not for me, but for other people. So we're going to start a grant application process where people within the tennis community that need help. And it could be anything from, my courts lost all their nets to, my house flooded and I need help. And then we'll just accept grants or review the grants and siphon the money out to whoever we think needs it most. So in the baby stages, we're just incorporating and trying to get our 501c3 status. But but $35,000 raised already. So we're trying to get to 100. So hopefully we'll reach that goal.
Well, listen, our hearts go out to you and yours and everyone else who have been affected by these terrible storms. As promised to you as a friend, our audience is now your audience. So if someone is sitting at their phone or in front of their computer, how can they take action for you right now?
Yeah, so if you go to gigifernandeztennis.com, there's a Tennis for Hope link, or if you go to tennisforhope.org, it might be redirecting, but our website's probably not up yet. So one of those two will get you to a pledge page, and you can just pledge an amount. And once we have a 501c3 status confirmed, which will be in about another month or two, then we'll reach back out. We're going to start taking grant applications in the next 30 days. So if you have, if you can donate money, that's probably we could do right now. And any amount helps, as you know, when you're trying to raise money.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, fans of our podcast, all four of you, we know that we can rely on you. Listen, that's right. The culture of tennis has always been good. I think we've always shown up for each other. I applaud you, Gigi, for first thinking of others when you are going through your own issues right now. We love you. We're here for you. If there's anything we can ever do, please let us know. We will put the multiple websites in the show notes, gigifernandez.com, and there will be a donate link. Otherwise, try tennisforhope.org. Hopefully one of those will work. We'll have Techie Sean get on it and see which one's working by the time we release. But please, Gigi's doing great things. Lindsay Davenport, friend of hers, friend of the show. I actually am pretty sure she called me a little bitch on this show one time. Isn't that right?
Yeah, it's in the public record.
Yeah. So if for nothing else, if you don't have empathy for storm victims, at least donate because Lindsay called me a bitch one time. Like I think that's worthy of a donation also, isn't it?
I mean, I might donate because of it.
I will donate because of it. That may or may not be true, but it's a good story. Gigi, we love you. Never hesitate to come on, and hopefully we can get you on one time when it's not a stressful time situation and really kind of
talk about something fun.
Exactly. Back to tennis. But we will leave these links in the show notes. Gigi, you're always welcome. Thank you and good luck. I hope everything gets better for you.
Thank you, Andy.
All right, cheers. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you to our friend Gigi Fernández for coming on. As we said during the interview, we all wish that it would have been under better circumstances, but props to her for taking something that is a tragedy for her personally and trying to make good of it for other people. Props to Gigi. Listen, the tennis world always, I take a lot of pride in the fact that we show up for whoever needs it. And Gigi is certainly proving that out in her own way, along with Lindsay Davenport down in Florida. So we thank her for coming on. Next week, I'm kind of excited about the show next week. It's first time we've done this sort of thing. The show is going to be a fan Q&A. So who knows? You all need to just let it rip, Tater Chip. Producer Mike, how is this going to work?
So everyone has been sending in questions kind of all year, but we're going to try and stay more topical.
Cool.
Social Sophie is also going to put out an invite for you guys to send in your questions. We have Racket Ron from Wilson's going to be joining us for a little portion of the fan Q&A to answer any technology questions. So go check us out on our social channels at Surge Podcast, anywhere you're getting your socials. Feel free to go on our website, shoot any questions over that you might have, hit the contact us. We do actually see all of that stuff, and we have Sean has a huge spreadsheet of all the questions. So we're going to pick probably similar today, probably like 5 or 6, and just let it go.
Yeah, we can cover more ground than that because we can do better, Mike.
Yeah, I'm fine. We'll do 50 of them.
Great.
How's that feel?
Perfect. Feels good. I feel good. That'll be fun. I'm excited about it. Please send in all the Qs and I will do the A's. I'm assuming like every time I'm not going to know what these are before we go into the show. Yeah. I rarely know what's going on. But hey, you
table read.
I'm a table reader. I don't know. I'm a movie star. I don't know.
What's in your rider? Like blue M&Ms?
No chance I ask for anything. You know better. There's no chance. Like we could have you picked up. I'm like, I'll rent a car. Anyways, this will be fun. Fun show today. Good job, kind of, Mike. You know, we'll get better.
Yeah, I think I whiffed a little bit.
We'll get better.
Yeah.
We'll get better in year 2.
Yeah,
it's still young.
2025 is going to be great.
It's going to be great. Thanks, Techie Sean. Thanks, Social Sophie. Rest of the team. Thank you all for listening. Please like, subscribe, all of the things, all of the socials. Always check us out on YouTube. Remember that our shows go up on Tuesday now on YouTube, along with audio everywhere else. We appreciate you. We will see you next time on Serve.